Good evening, everybody. This is Rod with Main Street Alpha and VPT, and this is going to be the Trade Journal screencast for St. Patty's Day. Let me turn that down. For St. Patty's, that's Jason Isbell, by the way, off, can't remember what cut. Great tune. I'm going to try to make these a little bit more entertaining, so as I learn to use this software, have a good time. I'm also going to throw in there a little music, maybe intros and outros. Okay, so it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to go out and grab myself a green beer and maybe a fish sandwich with my wife in just a little bit, but I wanted to get this out before we go do that. Seeing as we do live in Dublin, California, got to go out and celebrate a little bit. Tuesday, March 17th, 2015, Trade Journal screencast. A couple things I want to cover tonight, and I wrote them in here so I can keep track of it. USO, Bank of America, TLT, and gold. So I mentioned today in the midday update the three Bs, which are banks, Bank of America, bonds, TLT, and gold. Let me see if I can get real good at this. I can even do things like highlight that for you, what we're going to be talking about right there. So USO, BAC, TLT, and gold, which we described as bullion. So let's go ahead to the charts and take a quick look. Before I do that, I was able to salvage a little bit of a gain today between the options and futures accounts, but we have some sizable open painful trades, which I'll touch on in just a moment. Mostly Apple keeps kicking my behind, especially on these updates when we get these sell signals. So we'll look at that as well. So let's go here first to Nugget. So Nugget on the 5 minute, I really like this level down here, essentially between 850 and 880. I guess I could go in and draw a little, which of these tools is for that? Yeah, a little like rectangle action, something like that. So come in there right as soon as it puts in an 8 handle. You got risk down to 850. I actually like to do an adverse excursion, and we can do a risk-based stop. So we have a little bit of Nugget, only 300 shares, but that's how we'll be playing the gold part of tomorrow. So should have pointed out that tomorrow we got Fed, right? Fed policy. So what does that guarantee? It has guaranteed volatility every single time. So with that volatility, the things that tend to move the most, in addition to sort of the overall indices and the futures, is you get a big movement in interest rates, you get a big movement in the financials, and you usually get a big movement in the metals and gold. So Nuggets, the way we'll play gold, those are the levels we're watching. This was just 1, 2, 3, 4 on a 5 minute. So that was, I think, about a 20-minute span where gold popped about $10, $15 in the futures, and this is actually not the accurate print. I think it printed almost 10.10 there in Nugget. So we'll be watching that 880 again, do an adverse excursion, add down at 850, and we got in today at about I think about $9, somewhere in there. Then I want to take a look at USO. So anybody that's following the markets and paying attention at all, if you are forced to listen to CNBC all day long, it's almost worse than when JCPenney was the topic of conversation all the time, or Herbalife. Now it's, of course, crude. The May contract above 44. The April contract was coming off the board this Friday, fell below 43 today before popping a little bit. So lots of ways to play crude. I actually did a blog post a while back on Main Street Alpha about the various ways we were playing crude. In fact, let me revisit that real quick because it is all these things still hold true. Main Street Alpha, our sister company here. Oh, there's a picture of Dodger Dog with his St. Patty's Day stuff. So 5 ways we're trading oil. I wrote this blog post back on January 17th. You can go to Main Street Alpha, then just go to the blog. Talked about buying a basket of Canadian oil and then doing buy rights on the oil ETF USO. So if you're not familiar with a buy right is when you buy the stock and sell a call. It's one of the oldest, often considered the safest, although it actually has been shown to reduce your overall return possibilities, but it's called a covered call, and that's what I'm doing here on USO. So picked this up initially around 16.5, did an adverse excursion, added down. Now we have 15 shares, and I wrote both the 16 and the 16.5 to lower our cost basis. I have no stop on this, and I'm actually fine. Looks like crude's a little weaker right now. It's trading down, and we got the USO at 1583, and it closed at 1594, so it's down another dime. You can see on our 2 RSI we're way oversold, so I don't mind playing crude this way through USO. No one knows if we're going to see Brent and the CL contract go to the mid 3s before it goes to the 5s. Who knows? I generally don't like to own really any stocks for too long unless they're part of my wealth building account, but I'll make an exception here. We could be in this for a couple weeks and continue to write calls against it, or maybe get a fortunate pop back up to, I would look for a move back up to the 1650, 17 area. Remember, we were at 19.5 just about 10 days ago. Okay, and then the final one I want to take a look at is TLT. Let me move TLT out to a daily. I'm also going to look at Bank of America. So on TLT, just the 130, very even handle. This is probably going to move around a lot tomorrow before the Fed statement, and then we'll see how it reacts. I mentioned on the midday update today, I've just given up on trying to guess which way any of these instruments is going to react. None of it seems to make any kind of sense, so we'll just see what the market thinks of whatever. Patience, non-patience, who cares? The fact that this is how the markets trade, that's how they trade. I don't know if it's any better or worse than the insanity of 2008, 2009, or the Euros in 2009-10, or having to give a crap about what Mr. Tanman Boehner would come out and say. Remember that? So now it happens to be we're all Fed watchers. So that's just what the market gives us. I'm going to be putting in a little alert here at 1:30, and if it breaks out meaningfully, I might pop on the calls. I'm going to remain very neutral here. It could be a 1:30 call or it could be a 1:30 put. I probably won't do a straddle or a strangle on that. Let's take a look at Bank of America. I like this ascending trend line. And what I pointed out today on Bank of America that I just love, folks, is look at this. This is just a thing of beauty. Oh, man, I messed it up. Hold on a moment. Is this the one I want? That's Apple. Oh, man, now I messed it all up. Hold on a second. I don't even know what I did over here on the other screen. All right, well, what I wanted to point out was here's the actual underlying, which is closed at let's just call it last trade 1608, and the option closed at 107. So you're paying a penny to control. This is the 15 call for this week. So I mean, just no juice. It's amazing. Why would anybody ever buy the actual stock anymore when you can control the exact instrument? So instead of buying Bank of America for $16, you can buy the 15 call that expires this week for $1.08. Buy Bank of America for $1 instead of paying 16. So I like Bank of America here. It will be volatile tomorrow as well. Easily could give up 20, 30, 40, 50 cents if for some reason the financials roll over. Now the way this should work is if it looks like there's any kind of hawkishness or that interest rates are actually going to go up at all this year or ever, the banks should rally because steepening yield curve should be good for the financials, etc. But who knows? Anyway, we're long 100 contracts, so that's controlling 10,000 shares of Bank of America at about 16. We bought some more today, and sorry, 75. We unloaded about 25 of those. And then finally, I'll take a look at Apple. Apple has been the bane of my existence recently. The Apple Day options program was down in February and is now down again this month, and I've never had 2 consecutive losing months. So we'll see what we can battle back there. We got a sell signal here, and Apple just fought the tape all day. It was just up. It was up almost 2%. And we have the 125 and 124 puts. We made a little money on the 126s where we hedged it out but didn't hold them long enough. So we need a little rollover here. The good news is that it's only Tuesday. The bad news is that those options closed at like 15 cents and our average price on them is about 40. So we need some help there on Apple, looking for, we're just, if I drew a descending trend line, we're just peeking our heads above the descending trend line, but it's well within the ATR and striking distance of this swing low here at 122.5. So to recalibrate and re-talk about everything again, the banks, bullion, and bonds, USO, BAC, TLT, gold, and nugget is what we'll be watching tomorrow. For you futures traders, we have a big DSR level here on the S&P at 2073 to 75, which is, the level is actually 68.5 to 75, so about 6.5 points. That corresponds to yesterday's high, and we have, more interestingly, I wanted to take a look at the Russell here. The Russell is busting out right back. It peaked its head above its high at 1237.2. Now recalibrate this. It's the June contract, so we were at I think 1242 at the high on the March contract before we rolled. So it's everything I can do, folks, not to want to really load up on some IWM puts, maybe out in April, the 120s to 122s, but we'll be watching that again tomorrow. So if you dig any of this and you're not part of the VPT community, we invite you to come along and check out VPT Live. You can go to VPT Live and I can put this, bam, right there on the screen. You can try a 10-day trial for 10 bucks. Just go to VPT Live and wait for the slider to move over to the trial there. You can't actually click on that little doodad that I put there. So that's it for now. Let me come on camera and say goodbye to you folks. This is Rod with VPT Live, reminding you to always trade like you mean it. You can sign up for a free trial, VPT Live at vptlive.com. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a great evening, and be safe on St. Paddy's. Thanks.